everybody. Welcome to Rock, Paper, Hand Grenades. I'm Matt Connerton with the honorable and apparently tired Gary S. Hopper.
This has been the longest week of my today.
Really?
Yeah.
Your longest week of the day? I thought maybe you were exhausted by our cool new intro, which is
That
awesome.
is very cool.
That's very cool.
It's most excelente.
That was a surprise. I was not expecting that. And I look at the monitor and I see it, and I'm like, wow, that's awesome. Very, very nice. So thank you to the staff here for doing that.
Thank you very much, staff here that did stuff.
Yes.
As they say. All right.
As you say.
As I say,
As you
actually.
say, yes, with your unique phrasing.
Well, I do try to be unique in my phraseology. I'm
Yes.
kind of a phrasy...
You're like a phraseologist.
Yes. It's almost like that cotton picking entomologist we had last week.
Yeah. Who I don't think liked your
I don't think he
jokes
likes
very
my
much.
int jokes at all.
No.
I just worked hard on those too. I cried a lot on the way home.
Did you? Yeah.
I'm
Well,
pretty
you're a sensitive guy.
I'm a sensitive guy, wicked
Yeah.
sensitive. Hey, speaking of Cheryl, and people don't tuned in. The person that actually found this, started this show was Cheryl Mayer. She started Mayer Report, right?
Yep. It was the Mayor regime, and then it became the Mayor Report.
Okay, yeah. Anyway, she was murdered almost a year and a half ago, right?
Yeah.
We're going on 2 years. No, almost 2 years ago.
Closer to 2 years, probably. But
Closer to 2 years. And
Time
so anyway, so I got her mail because she used to live with my mom.
Yeah.
Since she got 2 parking tickets in Concord, she hasn't paid.
Oh, no kidding.
Yeah, so it's going to be a while before the Concord gets her money. So she owes him $100.
Oh, really? Wow.
So I posted that on her Facebook.
Jeez.
I bet she's really bummed about that.
I know, right? Yeah, that's what's the government going to do with that?
I don't know.
It's terrible.
I feel obligated. No, I don't feel obligated to pay it. It's a stupid thing to say. Okay, so anyway, let's see what else is going on. Legislature, my accomplices in the legislature. What do we do? Now I'm going to forget the number of the bill. I think it was 617. Gas tax. Okay, the legislature just passed a bill to increase the gas tax by 18 cents over the next few years. And somebody said it was like a 43% increase in the state gas tax.
18 cents a gallon? Is that how that?
Yeah.
Wow,
I
that
think
seems
it's
like
18
a lot.
cents. Yeah, it does.
Jeez, wow.
But anyway, so what was the justification? Oh yeah, all the roads are going to fall apart and the bridges are going to collapse and all this other stuff. And so I voted against it because currently what happens in the gas tax is over 25% of that is used for other things, only tangentially related to roads and bridges. Like for instance, the state police, for instance, Fish and Game gets some of it. And it's like a cash cow that they use for other things other than roads and bridges, which is what it's supposed to be for. So they want to increase that, and I voted against it, obviously. But that wasn't the worst part. The worst part is it took 3 hours for us to decide that.
Really?
Okay, so, and people might not understand this, but when you go to the legislature, you've read typically everybody's read what bills you're going to vote on. They have an idea of what the bills are, and there's some bills you know everything about before you get there.
Yeah.
Okay, like the gas tax. That's been in the news. It's been in the paper. Everybody understands they're increasing the gas tax because they need more money or want more money. So there are people who are going to vote for it and people who are going to vote against it. But 3 hours of debate didn't change anybody's mind. So it's basically 3 hours of people who want to get up and scream to the gods about how they're against any new taxes, and those people say, well, we need the bridges.
So it becomes redundant, right?
It's ridiculous.
Yeah.
It is ridiculous.
Yeah.
5 minutes tops on either side would have been more than sufficient to reach the same conclusion.
Right.
You know, it's just insane. It's just absolutely insane.
But is that a function of, because the New Hampshire legislature, it's the third largest legislative body in the world, right?
Right.
So is part of that just
You
a
mean me
function
personally,
of
or
the size of the...
What are you trying to say?
No. I mean, you're
I'm stealthier than that.
You're looking quite svelte, Gary,
Okay,
actually.
so,
Yes,
all right.
of course.
All
Yes,
right, all right.
if you look larger, it's the camera. It puts
Yeah, it does.
however much weight on you. Yeah, no.
40 pounds in 20 years, I was thinking.
Really? About 40 pounds in 20 years?
Yeah.
So in 20 years from now, I'll be 40 pounds heavier, in theory?
This is too much math. What? Go ahead.
Yeah, I'm not good at math either. But
Anyway,
but is part of that just a function of, because do they put a specific time limit on how much debate there's going to be on this stuff, or do you just basically go until everyone who wants to get up and say something does?
Until people actually get laryngitis, then they have to sit down.
Really? Yeah.
No, I don't know. It's the leadership on both sides of the equation are supposed to basically say, please keep this to 2, but
Right.
people still have a right to get up
Yeah.
and waste time, I suppose. I don't know. I think it's like I think everybody has this vision that they're going to get up and make some grandiose speech that's going to sway the vote, and it just doesn't happen. It may happen on a vote on a bill that people don't know much about.
Sure.
Okay, if it's something that's kind of obscure, people don't know about, maybe you could change votes. But that's it. I mean, there was one way to do it, which is Representative Mike Kepler. We're debating on whether or not to allow them to use a means by which to get rid of the deceased, which is it uses a heavy alkaline solution, and they dissolve people. Okay.
Oh, we actually have a call. Should we take this?
Yeah, I guess if they want to talk about dissolving people,
I know,
sure.
I
Who
hope
doesn't want to talk about
that's what
that?
they want to talk about. Hi, welcome to Rock, Paper, Hand Grenades. Who's on the line?
Roland.
Roland.
What's
I have
up?
a question
What's
on,
up?
If the lottery started, they already paid off $1 billion already for the schools. $1 billion. Now they're starting, I believe, on a $2 billion. How come there's $1 billion, and how come the schools are still broke? In other words, every city is having problems paying their teachers, laying them off. How come we have $1 billion and we still have problems in the school? That's what I want to know.
This has nothing to do with dissolving people.
Yeah.
Roland, what are you thinking?
Yeah, Roland, what do you think we should dissolve teachers?
Yeah, is that what you're saying, Roland? That's a draconian solution, to say the least.
Whoa, you're getting aggressive there.
Some other stuff besides schools?
No, are you talking about the lottery?
Right.
Right. The lottery actually pays a very small. As far as lotteries nationwide, from what I understand, the New Hampshire lottery is actually is managed quite well as far as the percentage of money that is actually gained from the lottery as it applies to the school system. But it's such a small fraction of what the schools are required to run that it's only a drop in the bucket. I forget what the percentage of the actual budget it is, but it's not really high. Most of that's Roland, chill a second. Anyway, most of the stuff you see as far as school funding is all local. Okay, the state only charges for schools $5 something in your taxes. Most of your school is all property tax, and if you really want to control spending in schools, get involved locally, not statewide. That's where all the money is spent is locally. Wait.
I'm sorry.
In Ware, for instance, we are unevenly yoked with Henniker, and every time they talk about cutting the budget for the high school, the people in charge of the budget make sure they cut all the funding for soccer and football and things like that, so all the soccer moms come out, get to the deliberative session, and nothing's ever cut. I mean, that's where the money's really where you're really being hosed is locally, not statewide.
Isn't Concord cutting down some of the money that used to send to the schools, to the city?
I think in the last biennium, I think they did cut some, yeah. But it's still not the real cost of it is all local though, and federal mandates.
Okay, then. Thank you so much.
Okay, thank you, Roland.
Thanks, Roland.
I can just make up any answer.
I know, right?
Is that awesome?
That is you. You're very good at
I think
this.
so.
You're very
I
good
think
at
so.
You're a good politician.
I know. I try not to let pride and self-respect stand in my way.
And ultimately, too, it's less to remember.
Yeah, it is a lot less because you just
Yep. Bam.
come up with something
There you
quick.
go. There you go.
What the heck was I talking
Dissolving
about?
people.
Dissolving
for some
people.
reason.
Oh yes, we were talking about dissolving people, and So what is it? Mike Kepler. He's on my committee. Very serious guy, a Navy guy. I don't think I've seen him smile since I've been up there, and I've been up there for a lot of years. And so he gets up and talking about dissolving people, and then starts getting very descriptive about what is going to be dissolved in this slurry.
Really?
And it just went on and on, talk about, dissolving your mom's lips and all this other stuff. And I really have never voted for, I don't think voted for that before, but today I voted for the bill.
Yeah.
Just because he was against it.
Yeah. Yeah.
So if you're going to have an
Wow.
effect legislatively, you can make people want to vote against you.
Talk about dissolving your mom's lips.
Yeah, exactly.
We actually have another call. We're
Whoa,
on a roll here.
this is dissolving stuff is good. We should have a whole show about dissolving
we should
people.
at least open with it every week.
Yes.
Yeah, so it's we can
Okay.
an active show. Hi, welcome to Rock, Paper, Hand Grenades. Who's on the line? Hello?
Oh, Matt.
Hello?
Matt, it's Brooklyn Mike.
Oh, Brooklyn Mike, what's up?
I have Brooklyn Mike there.
Hey, Mr. Gary. Gary, I wanted to let you know, I work with a few people that have had some issues with bed bugs, so I'm trying to rustle up some orders for some bed bug traps for you.
Ooh.
Oh, nice. At
Yes.
$5,000 a shot?
Yeah, well,
That's
hey, it's
awesome.
worth it, isn't it?
Huh?
Isn't it worth it?
For me?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. Oh, sure. I could get a whole new motorcycle. What?
I was wondering, if this thing works out, maybe I could be a salesman for you.
You get 10% off the top right there, buddy.
That's a good commission.
That's right,
very
500
generous.
bucks.
That's
I
very
think that's
generous.
pretty good.
Yeah, that is. Yeah.
Just make sure it's all cash, because I might have to leave town quickly.
Well, those type of things happen sometimes. I
Yeah,
understand.
exactly.
All right, well, I'm headed to work now, and I'm going to start working on it for you.
Thanks, brother.
right.
You're all right.
All right, guys. I'll talk to you later.
All right, Brooklyn Mike. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Somebody actually watches the show. That's like, I bet you that's we're over 10.
I think so. We
think
might
we
have
are.
like 11 or 12 people.
No, last week I had this ridiculous trap for bed bugs. It had like a casino in it and stuff like that. And anyway, we probably should have introduced. Oh yeah. So Mike Kepler. So I went around the back of the house talking about him behind his back because he was busy talking. And so I said that I was going to introduce legislation to have the Mike Kepler Memorial Waste Treatment Plant
Wow.
named after him.
Yes.
Yes.
We have another
People,
call.
people really?
Look at that. Yeah, that's 3 in a row. Bam.
We get like 3 calls a year.
I know, yeah. Hi, welcome to Rock, Paper, Hand Grenades. Who's on the line?
Hi, guys. It's Mary.
Who is this?
This is Mary.
Mary?
Hi, Mary.
Hi, Mary.
Hi. What happened to Al? Is he not on the show anymore?
Oh, Al Caprillion? No. Well, he used to do Norman Friends with us, but now he's busy with his...
He's on to bigger and better things, I guess.
Yeah, he
Oh,
still
my
calls
goodness.
Norman Friends, but...
Oh, my goodness. I didn't know that. So he's back on television because...
Yeah, he's down in Derry on the new TV station, right?
Yeah, WBIN.
BIN. We should be advertising for them.
Good for him.
That's
I'm
true.
so happy. I actually called him a couple
I'd like to
years
retract
ago,
that.
and we tried to go on a date, and I told him I'd make him some potato salad. I don't know if you remember that.
I vividly remember the potato
And he
salad.
was so bashful. He was always so bashful, but I love seeing Al on there. He was so cute, and he's so shy. And I'm just so happy for him that he's on the news station again.
You can always make
What
you can
show
always
was that?
you can always make us potato salad.
Yeah, you can make us potato salad,
Can you
Mary.
make low carb potato salad?
Something picked. I am never gonna. Do not insult me like that. I'm not a tramp. I had a thing
Well,
for Al.
I-
You and the weather.
What?
We just want you to... You can share the potato salad with us. It doesn't make you a tramp. It just means you like to share.
I'm telling you guys right now, my heart belongs to one man, and that's the weatherman, Al Caprillion. And I was just calling to see
I
the
understand.
show, or if he was on real television.
Wait.
I will not share my potato salad with some random strangers. It's just the Al
We're not that
Caprillion,
random.
and I
No.
We are strange.
Yes, we are strange.
Okay, Mary, thank you very much for the call, hon.
Thank you guys. Tell Al I said I love him.
All right, bye-bye.
Okay, bye, Mary. I guess we're not getting any potato salad. Boy, I'll tell you, this is a rough day.
It's a rough crowd.
Yeah, I know, right? Jeez.
Talk about dissolving people and all of a sudden,
I know. Caller on hold? We have another... Wow.
what the heck is
This
going on?
is incredible.
Hello.
Hello?
What's up? If you don't got potato salad, we're not talking to you.
Well, I wanted to talk about dissolving
Yes, yes.
the debate up in the legislature.
Yeah.
I don't know, maybe you run the show up there differently. Wouldn't you have the opportunity to? Oh, okay. I didn't know if you were listening. Wouldn't you have the opportunity to call the question? Unless that's not the way it works. It would seem to me if you wanted to cut off debate.
Oh, no. The dissolving people didn't go on for that long. It was just one speaker was particularly gruesome in his just description of how it works.
No, well, I know that, but you said that the gas tax.
You could try to call a question, but it wouldn't. There was still too many people who would start crying because they didn't get up to share their brilliant repro. What do you call it? Repro.
Rhetoric.
No, that wasn't it, but it's close enough.
Very good. It would seem to me, though, that there are more people who wouldn't want to listen than there would be that would.
We were all down. I was outside having coffee and everything else, walking around telling jokes.
I'm glad. I'm sure your constituents are very happy with that.
I would hope so. There's one of them sitting here with me today, so I'm oh wow.
All right.
Anyway, we really don't get that many. I'm sorry. I'm taking up too much of your time.
The show is dissolving, I think.
I know.
We're just good luck for you.
Yes, that's what it is. So,
Yes.
you are one of my favorite constituents, I got to tell you. And will you want to introduce your accomplices and go back up? The show was supposed to be about the flag,
Okay.
but we got sidetracked.
Yes.
Here, Matt, you know how to read.
I do.
And there's pictures.
Thank you. Oh, very nice.
So go ahead. So how did this all get started? Where did this start? I went on Google and found pictures that I think it's all around the country, or what is going on? Okay.
Well, first, this is Paul Lloyd,
Paul.
and he's with our committee, and this is Bill Gary.
Hi, Bill.
Hello.
And it started it started with George Lutz, a Gold Star father from Virginia, whose son, Tony, was killed by a sniper's bullet in 2005.
Okay.
And he went around the whole United States presenting flags at each state, and he was here in June of 2010.
Okay. So this is like an offshoot of the Gold Star Moms kind of thing, or no?
Not really, no. It's completely separate. We're here to support Senate Bill 88, which
Right.
is asking the state of New Hampshire to adopt the flag. We just found out today that Indiana is the 15th state to adopt the flag, so hopefully the Live Free and Die state will be number 16.
Now, what is who came up with the design? Where did this all? I don't know where it all started. I know you said
From George Lutz, he realized, like, after his son was returned back, and probably like 2 weeks later, everybody's pretty much gone, and he realized that there's not a specific flag that just is particularly specific for those that have died in service to the country.
Okay.
Like
So-
the POW MIA flag is.
For POD, yeah, right, exactly.
So he came up with a design with other people, and it's
Oh, I don't. Can you click on rock paper hand grenades on Facebook?
Yeah.
I got a picture of it there.
Do you-
So
Oh,
you can
okay.
Show it.
We have a flag.
we
here,
have
so let's see
an
it.
actual.
Yeah, but it
flag.
would be hard to
Too big?
actually put it
Okay.
up, and
Okay.
I can get this. We can get there in a couple seconds. But
Okay.
So he came up with the design, and he started taking it around to the different states, and it was mainly because that there's nothing specific for those that have died in service to our country going back to the Revolutionary War time.
right.
And usually people are gone by the time, well, actually, Bill can probably address a little bit. He's a Gold Star uncle.
Yeah, my nephew, Michael, who was a Marine, got killed in Afghanistan in 2010. And for what our family went through during the whole process,
Right.
left us really devastated to the point where even after everything was said and done, what else is there, So Sue introduced me to the Honor and Remember flag and what it stands for, and SB 88. and I stand behind it, and I really think this is something that should go forward.
It's up on the,
There's the
Yeah,
flag.
there's the flag there. I'm in full support of this because not only did I lose Michael, but I've lost many family members through the course of the years. A great-grandfather in World War I, an uncle in Korea, a cousin in Vietnam, and now Michael. So to my family, this really means something.
now, what would be, I actually haven't read the bill because I'm incompetent.
It's right here.
Yeah, I would still, my eyes aren't good enough. I actually have a hard time reading it, even if it's right there. But from what I understand, it's an enabling legislation. In other words, it's not requiring anybody to fly it. It's only, the state has to give permission for who to fly it.
Nobody needs permission to fly it.
Okay.
And, in fact, on the 19th of March, the veterans group over at New Hampshire Tech,
Yeah.
they purchased 2 flags and they're having a ceremony because they're going to be flying it at the school.
Okay.
Good.
Yeah, the Veterans Club there. So anybody can fly the flag. What we would like to do is have New Hampshire adopt it and recognize it. And we're only asking for it to fly 5 days out of the year at the State House only.
Oh, like say, because we have the American flag, I think, with the POW flag,
Yes.
and then the New Hampshire flags would be like below the New Hampshire flag or something
Right.
like that.
So it would be 5 days. It would be Gold Star Mother's Day in New Hampshire. It would be Memorial Day, 4th of July, POW, MIA Recognition Day, and Veterans Day. And then it would fly daily at the Veterans Cemetery in Bosquen.
Okay.
And then if we have any casualty, it would fly half-staff whenever the flags at the State House are flown at half-staff for a casualty. It would fly, and it's always underneath the state flag.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, I know it has to be, anything has to be under the United States flag, but I
Yes.
didn't know about the state.
Right, because the POW flag takes that position at the State House, and
Right.
that's the only place. We're not asking it to be flown according to the legislation anywhere else, just at the State House.
Okay. And so you guys said that this has been adopted,
In 15 other states.
15 other
Indiana
states?
passed it today.
Today.
Today, wow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so how's it doing it in the Senate?
Our Senate, it was, well, last year, they passed it unanimously. We had a hearing last month with the Senate committee,
Yeah.
and I think it was Senator Pierce he had made a comment that he can't wrap his head around the fact that anybody would be against this.
Okay.
Yeah, I would think it's an easy thing to pass. I mean,
Well, yes and no. I mean, there are arguments against it. Like, in other words, I don't have a problem with it, but it's like we had the license plate argument in New Hampshire, and people wanted a license plate for this, and then they want, the moose license plate, then they want this, and you go down to like Florida, and they have so many different license plates that you don't even necessarily know that it's even from Florida. And so at some point, if you keep adding flags, you kind of dilute the American flag, so to speak, if you have too much. But I don't particularly see a problem with this one, but
No.
I could see in principle not wanting more and more and more flags. Like the MIA flag then would have this, and somebody would want, one for, I don't know what the heck else you would do it, but there's always a good reason,
yeah. But this, I mean, you're not even asking for it to be flown all the time.
No.
It's
No,
5 days
just
out of
5
the year.
days.
That's-
And it
Well, it's
really,
you said 5 days a year plus when
Casualty.
casualty.
somebody
Okay.
is taken out.
Yeah.
Okay.
and every day at Bosquen at the Veterans Cemetery,
Yeah,
which
which
it
is
should be a no-brainer.
Yeah.
Right.
Oh, I agree.
so. So you haven't had any? You introduced it last year, did it? Where did it?
Well, we
what
got
happened last year then?
we kind of got blindsided by a few veterans that didn't agree with it. In fact, we have the same issues now. But first of all, just to let people know that the flag right now is in Congress, but it's on hold, like probably 95% of the bills that are in the federal, because it does have a registered trademark, meaning that, and Mr. Lutz will never give up the trademark, because if he does, that means the flag would be made in China or Vietnam or,
Oh, okay.
God forbid,
Right, right.
Afghanistan or Iraq. And that's what happened with the POW MIA families. They gave up that trademark. And unfortunately, that flag now is made in Vietnam and China.
No.
So there's no way that George would ever give up that. And, you know, I just ask people to just consider the fact that, I mean, we're not elitist here. If 15 other states have passed it with the same terminology, that it should get passed. All the flags are made at Annan Flag, U.S. Flag and Supply. So
Where are they out of?
Annan Flag is out of Pennsylvania.
Okay.
And then U.S. Flag, I believe, is out of Ohio.
Okay.
So I know that there's been mistruths out there about it taking the place of the American flag, which
No,
there's
that's
nothing.
ridiculous.
It'll never cover the casket of our fallen ever.
Right.
And it'll never be. I mean, there's no profit back. It's a 501c3. So, you know, there are some people that just continue to put out wrong information.
Right. Now, why do the veterans have issues? Some of the veterans have issues with it.
Because they were making, well, you might be able to address a little bit of that, Paul.
Some of that is they went to war underneath the American flag, and that's the one that they support. That's the one that when they look at, they see and they remember their shipmates or comrades in arms. So you know, they had those guys. We have to understand.
Right. Right.
But some of the others is spreading the misinformation that we want it to fly over the American flag. We want it to be on the caskets of the American veterans, and that's just not true.
Right. Right.
It's not true at all. And if it was true, I wouldn't be here.
I wouldn't either.
I wouldn't be part of this.
Okay.
I think
Second.
you would be.
Go ahead.
We have a call. Hi, welcome to Rock, Paper,
It's like a
Scissors.
record.
Who's on the
It's
line?
total record.
No, it
You
totally
gotta
is.
keep
Yeah.
track. I think that's 5.
Yeah,
Right.
I think so.
Hello.
Hey, how y'all doing?
What's up?
So the flag that I'm sorry, I missed this young lady's name, but is the flag that you're proposing to fly for when there's a fallen soldier? Is that the gist of it?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, they represent the fallen soldiers who have died in service to our country.
Going back to
I think
Revolutionary
that's a no-brainer. I think that's an absolutely wonderful idea. And to be honest with you, I'm every day I'm frustrated with the fact that you put on the news, and we're still losing soldiers over there.
Of course.
And the lead story is Lance Armstrong and Manti Te'o and all these stupid pop culture stories that literally dominate mainstream media, and it almost dives into a deeper conspiracy theory, if you will. And why aren't the soldiers? Why are we not recognizing when someone loses their life for defending our country? And it kind of goes up the chain of command on who owns the news, really, and essentially who controls what's being put out in the news. So I think any form of a memorial, a dedication, or honor to our fallen soldiers is an absolutely great idea. Lord knows they don't get the recognition on mainstream news. I mean, if you just turn on the news, you wouldn't even know there's soldiers over there fighting in Afghanistan and Iraq.
There's an incredible disconnect. Yeah,
Yeah, well,
absolutely.
It's unbelievable.
Well, all we have to really do to fix that is put a Republican back in the White House.
Well, that's not necessarily true.
Yeah, it
It's
is.
not necessarily true.
No.
It's one of those moments I can't tell if you're kidding
No,
or not.
I'm not kidding. I am absolutely not kidding. As soon as Barack Obama took office, they stopped doing body counts. As soon as he
Okay,
took
you think
office,
that may have to,
huh?
I think that may have to do with the fact that he took office in 2008.
I think the disconnect happened long before then.
No.
Of course it did, but my point is, 2008, when you're 7 years removed from 9/11, when the Iraq War was fresh, and there was really an emphasis. I mean, they basically painted like the war's over. We won. You
Yeah,
what
I know.
And in all reality, the war is never going to be over. The war on terror is similar to a war on drugs, where you're never going to end it. You can't beat it because you can always just say, "Oh, another terrorist popped up." It's an endless war that creates fear for the American people. But back to my point, I think what you guys are doing is great. Fly as many. I say you should fly a flag every single day. God, I'm not saying I wish any death from the soldier. I'm saying I think you should fly in memorial to anyone that's passed on. The more awareness and the more tributes we can do is 2 thumbs up for me. So that's my piece. I'm out, guys. Thanks for the time.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
You gotta make sure he calls his representative.
Oh, yeah,
Yeah.
if people are in favor of this, make sure they call their state reps, email them, do whatever you can, because, that's how things happen. But, yeah, I disagree with you, Matt. I know
Really?
that's never happened
No,
before.
never, no.
But I think it's ever since Obama took office, they don't really report them. They gave him a peace prize, and then you don't hear hardly any information about casualties or anything else.
I think there's a tendency in this country, which predates Obama. I think that there's a disconnect. I think we kind of take a lot for granted as Americans, and I think that we're not asked to necessarily sacrifice a lot. It's not like during the World Wars where everyone had to pitch in and sacrifice, and those who stayed behind, those who didn't go and fight, stayed behind and made things, and that's long gone.
I still disagree. If you look at the Civil War, it wasn't until they started actually taking pictures of Civil War battlefields with people dead on the field that it actually, because before that it was sport. All right, people used to show up and put out lawn chairs and have tea and watch people kill each other. And it was the reality of the people actually, that these are real people, these are real children of people, these are sons, these are daughters that are being killed in action that should constantly be remembered.
Oh, I agree. Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah.
And the news media is responsible for that, and they are not doing it. Okay? And when Bush was in there, I remember it was a big deal. Well, we hit over 1,500 or killed, and not, then you got the wounded too. But they have been completely derelict in their duty to constantly keep us aware of how many people are dying in Afghanistan, how many people are dying in Iraq. We're not supposed to be at war. There's not supposed to be any combat troops in Iraq anymore. But we still get, I think, 15,000 people there.
Oh yeah.
So that's a whole
And
other
I
load
think
of bull.
even if you ask people in New Hampshire how many we've lost just in Iraq and Afghanistan, I bet they wouldn't even know what that number is.
No, I don't know.
66.
66 in New Hampshire alone.
Oh, New Hampshire, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Just with these two conflicts. And part of our goal is to educate, establish, and present, because one thing that can be done with this flag is we get donations, and we could donate, we do a donation, but we do a presentation to families that the flags can be personalized, and
Right.
it's all hand appliqued, and we've had 9 of those, and we're going to be we have 3 more coming up, the presentations. But, as long as I'm breathing, I'm not going to give up on this flag. And, just when I look at a POWMIA flag, you know what that stands for, and it always brings it to mind. Whenever I see the Honor and Remember flag, I think about Michael, or I think about the other soldiers that have been killed, and even friends of mine going back to Vietnam. This isn't just about Iraq and Afghanistan. It's all the way back, to our Revolutionary War time. And so we just ask for people to please support this, and the best way to do it is to make sure that they call their reps. And we're on the web. They can contact us on the website.
Right. What's the website, by the way, before I forget to ask?
Our website is, you might as well just do it's honorandremember.org.
Honorandremember.org,
Right.
okay. And that will put them in touch with different...
Well, they can reach me at nh.honorandremember.org.
Okay.
And, or they can call me. I don't know, do I want to give my phone number?
It's just us talking. We won't
Okay.
tell anybody.
I know. It's not anywhere. Or they can reach me, email at nhchapter@honorandremember.org.
You're on Facebook, so you can actually post a link to this.
Yes, you can.
Can you post a link to it on Rock, Paper, Hand Grenades?
I will.
So
I will
people
do that.
can click on that?
Yeah.
I'll do that.
Okay.
That'd be great.
But the main thing is that we always remember our heroes, and people, if a Gold Star family drives by and sees the flag flying at my house, they either know that I have lost somebody or I'm honoring them.
What did they used to do? Wasn't it? Didn't
They have
They
the
used
Gold
to
Star
put, like,
families.
stars
Yeah, they have a
in
Gold
windows.
Star.
Gold Star.
banner.
What was was it the Sullivan family during World War II?
They had 5.
They had
Five.
5.
O'Sullivan.
O'Sullivan.
Yeah.
O'Sullivan. I know it was the Irish, but it was like
Real Irish.
Yeah, the real Irish.
But the thing with the Gold Star banner, that's only for the families to display inside their window. And when we're not in war, that flag doesn't fly in their window anymore. So this will be after we're out of war and the Gold Star banners are not hanging in the window, that this flag will still fly
Right.
in honor.
Yeah, that is a cool idea because it is very true. I mean, to me, you looked at the war in Iraq, and both parties were totally in favor of the war in Iraq. They were both, yeah, we got to do something. Saddam's a horrible person. And then when the winds changed, the political winds changed, all of a sudden I never voted for that. And it's to me, if you're a politician in Washington, D.C., if you are not willing to send your own child into combat, if you're not willing to send your own grandchildren into combat, then we don't belong there.
I absolutely agree. Yeah.
And they don't do that. They just
They don't have any skin in the game, so it's easy to just say,
It's-
"Oh yeah,
yep.
we'll do
Life
that.
is
We'll
a-
go in."
At no expense to them.
Exactly.
exactly.
Yeah.
I mean, you look at like what happened after World War One. World War One, those guys came and fought. They went and fought for their country, and that was horrible. They came back. The veterans of World War One were out in Washington D.C. I think it was probably maybe during the Depression. I don't know. I don't know if I could look that up, but they came to Washington D.C. because they weren't getting any benefits. They had been promised all these benefits. The guys that fought for our country went over to Europe, were gassed and everything else. Horrible, horrible stuff that happened in World War One.
Yep.
They're asking for their benefits. They had a camp, veterans camp, basically, camped out in front of Washington. Guess what your government did to them? MacArthur was ordered to go out and he machine gunned them to get them off the 50 caliber machine gun. Veterans. That's how little regard our country has had typically for our veterans.
Yeah.
That march is what kicked off and started the Veterans of Foreign Wars.
That really?
Yes.
I didn't know that.
Oh, okay. I didn't know that either. But it's just horrible what we do to our children because you look. It's like my dad. Okay, my dad was in Korea. He was in the Chosin Reservoir, which is the Marines had about 10,000 guys going up one side of Korea, and they were surrounded. They didn't have very good intelligence, or for whatever reason, they ended up being surrounded by 100,000 North Koreans and Chinese, and they had to fight. It took them, I forget how long, to fight their way out. I think that the general and the commander in the that was in charge said, I think we have them right where we want them. We can attack in any direction, because they were completely surrounded. And this is like in the middle of a really harsh New Hampshire winter. If you could picture yourself up in the White Mountains during sub-zero weather, that's what those kids had to fight.
Yeah.
I mean, they had to pee on their guns just to keep the actions from freezing up.
Wow.
Okay, it was that bad. And like as far as this flag goes, I know my dad had one of his buddies saved his life, but he died in the process. He blew up on top of him, because a shell hit right next to where they were. And I don't know how many years it took my father to get over that.
He probably never did.
But no.
He did not. My dad had a really cool sense of humor, but he actually didn't calm down and start enjoying life, I think, probably till he was 40. Before that, he was just like angry all the time. My friends wouldn't even come over the house. And he didn't do anything to him. He didn't say anything to him, but he was just that enraged almost constantly from,
Post-traumatic stress.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I see it with a lot of the Michael's combat buddies. Become friends with some of them, and you can see it in their eyes. And these are still young kids. I mean,
Yeah, they're
they're
children.
23 years old.
Exactly.
Coming back from their second tour in Afghanistan. 23.
Yeah,
That's crazy.
it is crazy.
You can see the horror in their eyes and some of the stories that they tell.
And
to
that's
think
the
that-
ones that can tell. A lot of them
Exactly.
can't even say anything.
And to think that this is coming out of a 23-year-old, where I'm 58 years old and haven't experienced 1 ounce of the stuff that they've gone through,
Yep.
just blows my mind.
Well, you heard about that guy. I think he might have been from New Hampshire. I know he was up here doing a book tour, but he was with 2 other SEALs, and they were basically just doing surveilling. And a man and his son came up. They were sheep herders. Came up, and they almost tripped over them before they saw them. This is how well these guys are, because they're just sitting still for days on end. And so they had the option. What do you do with these 2 kids, this guy and his dad? If you tie them up and leave them, they're going to die. If you shoot them, it's a crime. So they let them go. Within an hour or so, as they tried to bail out, they were completely surrounded. I think he was like one of the only survivors or something like
That's
that.
lone survivor Marcus Luttrell.
Right, exactly. You know, and so how do you cope with that in your brain? You know, because World War II, they found out that only about 10% of the guys could actually shoot somebody. Could actually put a bead on somebody and pull the trigger. So by Vietnam, they had learned different ways to teach people so that they could react shoot. So they just, something pops up, boom. What does that do to your psyche? Because people aren't intended to kill each other.
No.
That's not what God intended. You know, and it's just what we do to our children is just amazing. You know, some of the wars we go, like right now, I think we're in Ethiopia, or a couple of African countries right now.
Well, they're talking about Syria.
No, below,
Right.
yeah, Syria.
Right.
We probably have people in Syria that we're not allowed to know about.
Oh yeah, I'm
We
sure
have
special
people-
forces there. Yeah.
We have,
Libya.
huh?
Libya.
Well, below Libya. What's this country below Libya? We got people there now
Well,
too,
well-
helping the French.
Mali.
Mali, and there's a few other countries down there where there's
Somalia.
Somalia. You know, we have guys in there. I mean, they're not telling us we have guys in there, but we've got young, you know, men and women. And it's just amazing. You know, it's what we do to these kids. It's phenomenal. And the ones that die, I mean, it's horrible. It's horrible what humans are capable of doing. I think one of the most beautiful things in history that I thought was at least a glimpse of humanity was during World War II.
Oh yeah, I know what you're.
Because they had the trench warfare, and there was one of the battles. I think they lost 20,000 men in an afternoon. The general had a plan. This is a separate story, but to give you an idea what World War I was like, the general had this plan. He said, "Well, what we're going to do is bombard the heck out of the Germans, and they bombed them for like days on end." Okay. And they figured after the end of that, they would be so depleted that they could just run across and attack, go across no man's land and attack. And what they didn't know is the Germans had been there so long, they were dug in so well, that as soon as the bombing stopped, they came out and manned the machine guns. They couldn't hear anymore. They were like deaf and everything else. Their ears bleeding from all the concussion, but they still came out and manned the machine guns. And I've forgotten the number, but something like 20 or 30,000 men. They were just bodies on top of bodies, and the generals just kept sending in more waves and more waves. It was like not only do you have the people in Washington D.C. who could care less about how many children they kill, you have the generals at least back then, who had no regard for the humanity of what they were doing. But there was one story between, I think it was on the English and German line, I believe. And somebody was playing Christmas music, and somebody else, then they heard Christmas music on the other side, and they actually came out during Christmas and started exchanging presents and stuff like that. Whatever they had, they didn't have much.
Yeah.
Probably like
the truce for the day.
they had a truce for a couple days.
Was it a couple days?
Yeah, and the generals started getting really concerned about it, and I think they were ordered fresh troops in to start shooting, because otherwise it could blow the whole.
Yeah.
You know, it could ruin their whole day not having people kill each other.
Yeah, exactly.
You know.
Wow.
But I mean, there are things worse than dying for dying, and I don't mean that war is always the wrong thing, but most of the time it is.
I agree.
You know,
Absolutely
most of the time
agree.
we don't have any right to be over there killing people that we don't even know. But
Well, we just really want support for Senate Bill 88 and really to never forget our heroes and
Yeah.
those that have died. And again, just to let people know it's specific for those that have died, because our American flag signifies a lot more than just those that have died in service. You know,
of course it does.
it's our freedoms, and you can get
represents the Constitution,
so when
liberty.
right, you look at the American flag, you'll get all of us would have a different thing that would come to mind right away. But when people look at the Honor and Remember flag, that's what it is, and for us to remember is to honor.
Right. Yeah, because we can't. It's. If I could remember the Gettysburg Address, it'd be awesome.
That would be amazing. I
Can't
would
you just
be,
pull it up and start talking?
Well,
No.
he can't read it from there.
Well, you
I
could.
can't read it if I was right there. You got the clock's too small. I got glaucoma. My eyes aren't so hot anymore. But yeah,
Oh, we have a caller.
Okay.
This is definitely a record.
This
for the
definitely,
show.
yeah, absolutely. We're up to 6 or 7 or
I
something.
think so. Yeah. Hi, welcome to Rock Paper Hand Grenades. Who's on the line? Hello.
Hello?
Hi. Welcome to the show. You're on the air. Your time to shine.
Hey, it's Lil Mel.
Oh, hello, little
Hi,
man.
Little Mel. You calling from the Windy City?
I was calling just because I wanted to let you know that what Gary was just talking about was Bellowood. It was the Christmas truce between the Germans and the Americans in the song Silent Night.
Oh, okay. And the song was Silent Night.
Holy
It
mackerel.
was from
Little
Bellowood.
Mel, you're all right.
I know.
She's like our very own research assistant.
Yes.
It was too much for me to text, but I as soon as you said it, I was like, I know what he's talking about.
Okay. Yeah. All right. Well, thanks, Mel.
Okay, you got the Gettysburg Address too?
What?
Never mind.
Never mind.
All right. Thanks, Mel.
Alright, bye.
Bye bye.
She's delightful.
I think there's a movie. Didn't they make a movie about that too?
What?
Bellawood.
They may
What
have.
happened?
They should have.
I think there's a movie.
Can you imagine if that had spread across the
Yeah, they
lines?
did.
It would have totally ruined the war for the Germans
Yeah.
and the the English.
Mm-hmm.
Because actually, Americans came in that really late.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, they were basically the Germans and the English were at a stalemate.
Right.
And it was when the Americans came over, they started coming over like tens of thousands and tens of thousands. It just overwhelmed the Germans at that point. They couldn't keep up to that kind of resupply of humanity. But anyway, yeah, Belleau Woods, yeah, that was pretty amazing. You know what's something that changed my thoughts? Because I remember growing up and hearing how the French had retreated or were cowardice during World War I. I didn't realize when I had heard that the truth of the matter was that the French generals were telling these kids to jump, basically, and I forget what mount it was like on this hillside.
Yeah.
They were telling them to jump over and attack the Germans. And the Germans were so well situated that they would hit them with mustard gas or whatever it is and just wipe them out. And then they would send in another wave and they'd wipe them out. They'd send in another wave, they'd wipe them out. So this, I don't know how many tens of thousands of these French troops were watching their friends getting killed.
Right.
And at some point, the French said, no, we're done.
Right.
And
right.
they walked off the battlefield.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah. And when I was younger, I said, oh, that's, because you grow up with John Wayne, and you think that's kind of cowardly. And then you look at it now and you go, wow, they should have probably walked out a couple weeks ago. Because the generals at the time were so, I don't know if aristocrats or what the deal was with that, but they were completely void of any compassion for the men that were dying for them. And they just kept sending them in. And then they had to actually, after that, change tactics.
Yep.
Which you wouldn't think would be required for them to change tactics after it failed miserably a couple ways,
Right. Right.
But yeah, it's amazing what we do to our kids, and it's amazing how void our politicians are of any connection with them. You know
That's
what I
right.
mean? And World War II, I think, was a little bit different. You had a lot of, I think, the politicians where their kids were in the army, like
Sure.
like Kennedy was in the Pacific.
Yeah.
And,
Right.
Made a difference.
Huh?
It made a difference.
Made a huge difference. And
Yeah.
I personally don't like the idea of having a president that hasn't been in combat, because I don't think they have any appreciation for how horrible it is. I mean, I have friends that are like in Vietnam and places like that. Like my dad, who can't even talk about it.
Right.
My dad couldn't talk about what happened in Korea unless he was drunk. And I know people who can't talk about it just because if they did, the statute of limitations hasn't run out on what they've done. You know? It's just horrible. Horrible.
Yeah, and a lot of them are coming back after 3 and 4 tours. It's something that we've never experienced as a country with this many deployments.
Yeah.
I mean, they never come off of mission mode. I think
Right.
that they're just always on.
Yeah, what was the guy who was trying to, I forget, he was a Navy SEAL, and I wish I could remember names, but he was actually he would come back, he would help these vets that came back from overseas, and he was out shooting with one,
Oh,
and
Chris Kyle.
yeah,
Yeah.
and the guy just tweaked. I mean, it's horrible.
Yeah.
It's pretty cool what Chris was doing.
Yeah.
Right.
And there's a lot of soldiers out there that are helping other soldiers, so there's a lot of help out there.
Yeah,
Yeah.
there is.
Well, somebody's got to, because the government doesn't.
Well, thank you very much for what you guys are doing, by the way.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Because it is very important. What did I want to share? Oh, a few weeks ago we had the rally for the Second Amendment.
Yes.
Stand Your Ground, I think or something like that rally. And on Facebook, there's some FBI agent that theoretically is investigating anybody that showed up for that.
Really?
Yeah.
Yes. Which to me is kind of comical because
It's very comical.
well, it's comical for on a couple different ways. One is if you show up for these rallies, if you're a patriot and you're showing up for these rallies, you have to presume that there are at least 10% of the people there are spying on you. That's kind of what the government is supposed to do, is keep an eye on possible revolutionary activity.
Right.
But so anyway, my grandson was there too, and he's 7. So, and he was throwing snowballs
Uh-oh, he's
and
in
making
trouble.
snow angels.
He's at
So
the top of the list.
Yeah,
he
yeah.
should be. He should be because
They
he was.
probably had the drone with his picture already.
They probably do, and they probably because he was stealing like cookies. 'Cause they have free cookies.
Uh-oh.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
well.
I mean, he was acting violently by throwing the snowballs.
Right.
Total disregard or respect for the State House because he's making snow angels, which I think is a separation of church and state thing right
And
there.
I'll bet he got crumbs everywhere with those cookies.
He did.
Littering.
Yeah.
He did.
Littering,
yeah.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah,
Well,
yeah.
the birds weren't out because it was too cold.
No, there's no birds to eat the crumbs, and it was terrible.
It was a great day.
Yeah.
We gotta wrap up.
We gotta wrap up.
It is time.
So Scotty's probably got a drone with his name on it. Hey, what did you think about that? You're kind of in in the middle of the political spectrum. What do you
Yes.
think about the president saying that it's okay to use drones to strike American citizens on American soil?
I don't agree, and I'm pretty creeped out by it.
Okay,
I could say more, but
we don't have time.
yeah,
We gotta talk about that because
Yeah,
that
yeah.
is insane.
yeah.
I don't understand why somebody can't file a class action suit against the President of the United States for even considering such a thing.
And then Eric Holder contradicted him. It's all very strange
He did?
and confusing. Yeah, during before Congress. It's weird. Yeah, I wish we had more time, but it'd make for a good show. Yeah.
Drone hunting. We could have a season for drone hunting in New Hampshire.
Oh, I thought you were going to propose a reality show, drone hunting.
No, I'm talking about have a season. In
Oh.
other words, 9 months out of the year, you get to take up to 1 drone a day
Yeah,
by any means possible.
mounted on your wall afterward. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's a great idea.
Wouldn't that well, you don't want to mount on the wall because then the camera probably still works.
Oh, I didn't think of that. You're right.
think,
You're right.
think, Matt, think. Hey, thank you very much, folks.
Thank you
So,
very much.
what was it? The .org. What was it again?
NH.
NH.
Wait, hold on. I always mess it up. The email, if you just go to NH honor. Oh my gosh, I'm sorry, guys.
In each chapter.
Well, it's there's honorandDemand.com, right?
HonorRemember.com.
Yes.
Honor and
And
Remember.
if you
I'm
go
sorry.
there, you can get to our website. But
All
it's
right.
Yeah,
Okay.
New Hampshire chapter.
Okay.
So honorremember.org. Honorremember.org. Go there, link up, hook up, and try to get in touch with the New Hampshire chapter. Call your state legislator because it's coming to the House next, right? It's already through the Senate, right?
I think they're voting on that tomorrow.
I'll call your senator today.
Yeah.
Hey,
Senate
thank you
Bill
very much,
98.
folks. We
Thank
gotta
you.
go.
Thank
All
you.
right. Bye, everybody.
Why does it say 1 minute left? It's 3 minutes left.